Good evening and welcome to your City Council meeting. Today is Tuesday, February 20th, 2018, and it is 7 p.m. Regular meetings are held on the first and third Tuesday of each month at 7 p.m. in City Council chambers at City Hall. City Clerk Gomez, can you please call roll?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Councilmember Lindholm? Councilmember Davies?
Present.
Councilmember Minigar?
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Jennings?
Here.
And Mayor Genoway.
Present.
Thank you, we have a quorum.
Okay, thank you. Okay, at this time, I would like to ask Dr. Shannon Halico of the Spiritual Assembly of the Baha'is of Laguna Niguel to come forward for the invocation, and then we will have Cub Scout Pack 774 come forward to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
It's my pleasure on behalf of the Baha'i community to present this prayer by Abdul Baha, the son of the founder of the Baha'i faith. O thou compassionate Lord, thou who art generous and able, we are servants of thine, sheltered beneath thy providence. Cast thy glance of favor upon us. Give light to our eyes, hearing to our ears, and understanding and love to our hearts. Render our souls joyous and happy through thy glad tidings. O Lord, point out to us the pathway of thy kingdom, and resuscitate all of us through the breaths of thy Holy Spirit. Bestow upon us everlasting life and confer upon us never-ending honor. Unify mankind and illumine the world of humanity. May we all follow thy pathway, long for thy good pleasure, and seek the mysteries of thy kingdom. O God, unite us and connect our hearts with thy indissoluble bond. Verily, thou art the giver, thou art the kind one, and thou art the Almighty.
Okay, Cub Scout Pack 774.
Hi, I'm Oliver from Cub Scout Pack 774. Please, may the audience please rise. Please, color guard advance. Please join me in reciting the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. 2. The audience may be seated. Thank you for having us.
Hey, boys, if you can wait right there, we'll be right down. Very nice. You boys did a great job. We love having you here at City Hall to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. That makes the start of our meetings very, very special. If you could please tell us your first name, what school you go to, and what grade you're in.
My name is Will. I go to Moulton Elementary, and wait, what's the last name? Oh, I'm in 3rd grade.
I am Connor. I go to Moulton Elementary School and I'm in 3rd grade.
My name is Peyton. I go to Moulton Elementary School and I'm in 3rd grade. My name is Sam. I go to Moulton Elementary School and I'm in 3rd grade.
My name is Koa and I go to Moulton Elementary School and I am in 3rd grade.
I am not in 3rd grade. Yeah, right? Okay, well, I don't go to school either, so. My name is Suzanne, and I'm the leader for the 3rd grade crew.
My name is Doug Hammerin, and I'm the Arrow of Light leader.
My name is Oliver. I go to Moulton Elementary School and I'm in 5th grade.
Okay, and our city of Laguna Niguel is built on volunteers and the volunteer spirit. And it's because of troop leaders like this that our youth grow up to become fine leaders someday. So thank you so much for your commitment to the youth of our community, and we have a challenge coin for you to commemorate it. Okay, and I think there's some parents out there with cameras who'd like to take some pictures. Okay, thank you very much, boys, and thank you to the troop leaders. Okay, and now I'd like to bring up our Chief of Police Services, Lieutenant Matt McDaniel. He has someone to introduce to us, a new member of our city family.
Thank you, Mayor. I think it's important that our citizens in our city know our deputies and get to know our deputies. I think it helps that relationship and helps them care about our people doing that job out there. So with that, I'd like to bring up Daniel Espinoza, our newest deputy. So Daniel comes to us from the jail system where he did about 4.5 years. I was fortunate enough to work with him there. At the outside, right. He shows himself to be extremely calm in stressful situations, extremely mature, and very intelligent. I expect really good things out of him. He flew through our 20-week field training program and just completed that. So he's hitting the streets as of now. So you're going to see him out there. Please give him a wave and get to know him. He's a really good, fine young man. And Daniel Espinoza.
Okay, Daniel, welcome to Laguna Niguel. I think we want some more pictures. Okay, and our next presentation is the announcement of the Word of the Month Art Contest winners for February 2018. And the word for February was leadership. Remember, just this past weekend, we celebrated President's Day. So our first winner in the primary group category, and I hope you saw the pictures out there. I absolutely love this one. Brooke Rifkin with Girl Scouts and Leadership. So congratulations, Brooke. So can you tell us, do you remember what it said on your art piece? Turn around. It say something about Girl Scouts take leadership seriously. And cookies. This is cookie time. Are you selling Girl Scout cookies? Oh, yeah, they all are. But congratulations. So if you want to go stand here by Councilmember Davies and turn it around so Mom can see. Okay, and the winner in the adult group with the art piece Tomorrow's Leader, Diane Noss. Is Diane here? Hi, Diane. Congratulations. Okay, and then in the classic group with Monet's Garden, Lisa Fu. Lisa? Thank you very much. Thank you for sharing your beautiful talent with all the residents of our city. You can come see their Word of the Month art pieces here, right here in City Hall for the remainder of this week. They'll be on display. And then they're all going to be busy with March's Word of the Month, which is optimism. You know, March, St. Patrick's Day, Luck of the Irish, optimism, good thing. So I think we have a camera over here. Okay, but congratulations to all our winners, and thank you so much for participating. Thank you. Congratulations. Great job. Good job, Brooke. Good job, Brooke. Okay, and I think that is it. Yes, that concludes our presentations. So now we will move on to our next item, which is public communications. Any person wishing to address the City Council on any matter, whether or not it appears on this agenda, is required to complete a gold-colored request to speak form, and they are available at the counter in the back. Please submit the completed form to the City Clerk prior to being heard by the City Council. Each person will be allowed 3 minutes to speak. So I have a stack here. There are 2 request to speak forms regarding the electric charging station for vehicles. Just so you know, those will be handled during that agenda item. So first up, we have Jeffrey Johnson on Crown Valley Park Tier 3. Please state your name and your address for the record.
Hi, I'm Jeffrey Johnson, 22-year resident here at 25071 Via Portola. And I'm here to speak about the Tier 3 insofar as solar panels are concerned. I'm here to say congratulations if we're working on a solar panel project within that project. And if not, I understand that there's an ad hoc committee with it. If you need an extra workhorse, I can be a member of that committee. As I say, I don't know whether or not that is contained within that or not, but if it isn't, I would like to stress that having the solar panels would reduce a carbon footprint by the City of Laguna Niguel, as well as recoup the energy costs incurred by the City of Laguna Niguel. Probably a 4 to 7 year. I've spoken to the company that installed my solar panels in my house, and I'm going to recoup the full cost of my electric in about 5 to 5.5 years with the federal rebate, which I imagine the city wouldn't get, but without the rebate, I would recoup it in about 7 years. So that's a nice tax savings, depending on how much electricity that new building will need. And also to consider perhaps putting solar panels on this building as another way to save money. So I know that the environment is very important to the residents and voters of Laguna Niguel, and that we would like future generations to enjoy our beaches. And I think that that's a nice, we save money and we save the environment for the Boy Scouts who are just in front of us. So thank you.
Okay, thank you, Jeffrey, and thank you for caring so much about your city to come speak to us. We appreciate it. Okay, next up is Gary Miller. Hi, Gary. If you could please
Gary
state
Miller.
your name and address.
Gary Miller, 66 Pienza, Laguna Niguel.
My wife and I moved here 16 years ago, and one of our requirements, or one of our specific reasons for leaving Huntington Beach, was to get away from the air traffic, because that's an approach in Huntington for both Long Beach and Orange County. They have their own Air Force up there, a helicopter that constantly circles around. If you've lived up there, you know what I'm talking about. And that may be necessary, but we didn't want to live under that environment. So I'm curious as to what, if anything, the council has been doing to follow up with a fairly well-attended meeting, I believe was held in June last year, when this next-gen system went in. We're now experienced, we live in Marina Hills, but it's just a constant flow of planes that, I don't know exactly what the height is, but it's certainly much louder and more regular. And I know you've heard about it before, but I don't know, is there a working committee perhaps that the council has put together to work with people at the national level, like our congressmen and senators, and would appreciate a report on that, and possibly you guys scheduling some additional focused meeting for those of us who really want to get something done about this. So thank you.
Okay, thank you, Gary. Okay, next up is Bill McGuire.
Hi, I'm Bill McGuire, 31411 Isle Vista. I'm not as good as an extemporaneous speaker as the other two, so I had to write this down. So bear with me. Last April, we bought our new home up by Badlands Park in Laguna Niguel, and the home was advertised as a quiet home on a quiet block, and our brief visits to that home seemed to bear that out. Now I'm calling the rest of this Paradise Lost, Living Hell Discovered, thanks to the FAA. I'm here to implore the city council members who were voted in as stewards to our community to protect Laguna Niguel's citizens and represent us to ensure our safety and health, to act aggressively with our support. And I'm willing to work, as people have mentioned here, I'm willing to help. To engage with the FAA and the local airports to stop this next-gen path that's resulted in changing our community from a paradise into a 24/7 flight freeway over my head. I don't know what system they're using, but the planes are being directed directly over where I live. And our physical and mental health is in jeopardy. Our safety is in peril. There are numerous well-researched scientific studies, and I'm happy to send them to you, that document the health hazards of living under a flight freeway. Not only does the noise cause serious health issues, the pollution from the exhaust does too. And what we're currently experiencing is the equivalent of living in a war zone. That's what it feels like where I live. Now, we all pay exorbitant amounts of money to live in this area, and we came here for the peace and quiet, as was mentioned here before. And yet we're living under the direct path of these planes and these jets. Other cities have representatives who have taken positive action and have made changes to these routes to ensure the health and safety of their constituents. And I'm hoping that this can happen here in Laguna Niguel and in Dana Point and in San Juan Capistrano and in South Laguna Beach. Because if you need to consider this from a financial angle, I've had people at my house sitting in my backyard and saying, "Oh my God, I can't believe you have to deal with this every day." So anyone that comes now to buy my house, they will not buy my house. They're not going to come to an open house and be able to ignore all these planes that are constantly flying over my house. So I respectfully request that you act on our behalf. Okay, your community safety and health is at risk.
You have 30 seconds.
Okay. You know, I've been tracking planes and the decibels because I'm trying to see where they're going. My normal backyard is about 43 decibels. Jets and small planes can take it up to about 65 to 80, depending on where they are. That's very high. And I get hundreds of planes over my house every day. Hundreds, between the jets and the small planes. So this morning I was walking my dog, and I passed my neighbor's gardener who had one of those leaf blowers. And I said, "Oh, let me check this guy out." 65 decibels.
That's your time.
So imagine that.
Okay, thank you, Mr.
Thank
McGuire. Michelle Mann.
My name is Michelle Mann. I live at 21 Brownsbury in Laguna Niguel. I've never been to a city council meeting before. It's my first one, except for the big no plane noise meeting that was here in June. I wrote to you guys about my concerns. You wrote back to me, and I was under the impression you were doing something about it. noise is just getting worse, and I thought I could come here and ask you for an update. I didn't know how to give a presentation, but that's why I'm here, is to hear an update on what's being done with the plane noise.
Okay, thank you. City Manager Ridge, do you have, can you tell us what the status is or give any updates to the public on this?
Sure. And first of all, thank you so much for taking your time to come here to voice your concerns on it. This city has been actively involved in the issue for long before I ever joined the city as a city manager. In fact, I believe Laguna Niguel was the city to host the very first forum on the issue. But to date, we have been working with our constituents both at the state level and at the federal level. We shared the same concerns as the city of Laguna Beach. While Laguna Niguel did not initiate litigation, we have been following Laguna Beach's. We have a copy of the settlement agreement. We have a posting on our website that tells you the most current information, including what the 2 flight paths are that were agreed upon in the Laguna Beach settlement, and we're continuing to monitor it for compliance with the terms of agreement. But I would ask you that if you do have evidence of the activity that you're talking about, you can access planefinder.net and look up the different flights, because we do believe that maybe there are flights from LAX or Long Beach and not coming out of John Wayne. So one of the terms of the agreement does require, sorry, Ziad. One of the terms does require that the FAA report to the City of Laguna Beach on a quarterly basis any deviations from the 2 agreed upon flight paths. And so with compliance with those flight paths, it should have alleviated a significant amount of jet traffic over the City of Laguna Niguel. So if that's not happening, that's why I think it's coming from a different airport. So if you can provide us any analysis or data, we will certainly research it further and work with the neighboring jurisdictions. But it is a very important concern for our community, and thank you.
Thank you, City Manager Ridge. Appreciate that update. Again, thank you to our residents for coming here tonight to talk to us. Okay, next we have Sam Anvari. Is there a Sam Anvari? Okay.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and member of City Council. Sam Anvari. I'm resident in Laguna Niguel for the last 15 years. I live at 2445 La Hermosa. And tonight I would like to urge the City Council to adopt the Senate Bill 1069 for auxiliary dwelling unit, basically, that requires the cities in California to adopt measures for, basically is like a guest house, but it has all the facilities of the kitchen up to 1,200 square feet. That's the Senate Bill 1069. If you have any question regarding Senate Bill 1069, I would be happy to answer.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Anvari. This is not on our agenda tonight, so we can't discuss it, but we appreciate your being here to bring this to our attention.
Thank you.
Madam Mayor, if I may.
Yes, please.
Can we get an update, though, on that SB 1069 so that all of us will have information on it?
At a future date?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Leslie Anvari.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Leslie Anvari. I live at 24452 La Hermosa Avenue in this beautiful Laguna Niguel. As a real estate broker, it comes as no surprise to me that today's millennials are unable to afford a home, especially here in Orange County. Saddled with so much student loan debt, they can't afford to save. More than half, 52% of millennials, also said they can't qualify for a mortgage because of their debt to income ratio. As a businesswoman, a mom, and now a mother-in-law, I urge you to adopt SB 1069 so that my son and his wife can have this accessory dwelling unit and have the privacy and they can afford it. The municipal code was of this adaptation was put in and signed by the governor September 27, 2016. Many other cities have adopted this and have helped many of the parents who have children who are millennials have a place to stay of their own. This municipal code references second dwelling unit is now called accessory dwelling units. The local ordinance must state that the ADU applications will be approved or not approved in 120 days. ADUs can have up to 1,200 square feet or up to 50% of the living area an existing dwelling may be permitted. The cities cannot require more than one parking space per bedroom, and that is a very important point. And then there are some other things in regards to 1069. So I am urging you, and my family is urging you, and all of my clients who have children who can't afford homes are urging you to adopt this so that they have a place to stay. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Hey, Daniel Anvari.
It's a common theme here with the family.
Is it the topic or the last name?
A little bit of both. But my name is Daniel Anvari. I've lived in 24452 La Hermosa for the better part of my life here in Laguna Niguel. Used to work at the Crown Valley Community Pool, did that for about 8 years, then worked at Lifetime when they opened up. And now I run my own business in the city of Laguna Niguel. So I'm just here to do the same thing about per SB Regulations 1069, just that urges California cities and counties to adopt those regulations and revise the current accessory unit dwellings or ADU regulations. When I heard about this bill, I was pretty excited because me and my wife, we do live with my parents, as many other millennials nowadays. Like my mom's statistics said, it's about 15%, as of 2016, 15% of 25 to 35-year-old millennials were living with their parents, and I don't think it's gotten any better since then. Since rent's just gone up and everything such. So as I continue to grow up and go through the halls of Dana Hills while working at the Crown Valley Community Pool, even after putting on my big boy pants and marrying my wife, we still lived in an apartment complex not far from here. But when rent got too high, it kind of decided on, well, are we going to keep paying off our debt or are we going to keep going into more debt? And so that was a decision we had to make, and we decided we wanted to pay it off. And by doing that, we moved back home with my folks, and we're blessed to have a family that has space and has allowed us to crowd the kitchen more times than not, and maybe run into them in the hallways when we're not expecting it. But so we just, my wife and I urge you as well as the rest of the millennials. I know many friends and family members that would love this, because then their kids would be able to do the same thing. My peers would be able to do the same thing. Just whenever it comes up, if you guys could go ahead and vote that one through, that'd be great. Thanks so much.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
Thank you for being here. Okay, and next, Haley Anvari.
So, I'm the last one of the Anvari family. But hello, City Council, and thank you for taking the time this evening to hear me out. I just want to start off by saying that I'm honored to be here and be the voice for many millennials that are struggling to be able to afford to live in Orange County. Like my husband has said, we've lived in Orange County area our entire lives. My parents live in Aliso Viejo. We've been there for 20 years, but when I married my husband, we moved to Laguna Niguel. I absolutely love it. I don't want to go anywhere else. I've also worked for the city of Laguna Niguel at the pool, and this community has just played a huge part in my life. By adopting the new ADU regulations, it will allow us, as well as many other millennials, to plant firm roots down in this city and nurture them for years to come. My entire life, I've wanted to be a mother, and it is my dream to raise my children in a community as beautiful as this one, living close to my parents and my in-laws. Unfortunately, though, with the price of homes in today's market, building a nest egg from scratch seems nearly impossible. This would allow us to lay a foundation that can be built on for many years to come, and a solid foundation is all one can really ask for. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you for coming to address us. Hey, City Clerk Gomez, are there any more gold slips?
No, Mayor, that was
Okay, so public communications is now closed. We are moving on to the consent calendar. We have items 1 through 13. I know, pulling item number 10, the electric vehicles. Are there any other items to be pulled?
Item 7.
Who was that? Councilmember Lindholm? Okay. Anything, Mayor Pro Tem? Okay, so we are pulling items number 7, 10, and 11.
I'll move the rest.
Second.
Been moved by Councilmember Davies, seconded by Mayor Pro Tem Jennings to approve the balance.
Aye.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Okay, item number 7, Councilman Minigar.
I just have a quick question with regard to this item. I read the whole cash contract, which is with the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development. I just want to know that it was referred in the document to the city's consultant. Who is the city's consultant? Because, you know, we want to have 100% transparencies. We want to know who's the individual or the firm that has been reviewing these applications on behalf of the city for the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development that made the final determination based on Section 3 that X firm is the selected firm to be awarded for the contract.
Honorable Mayor, council members, I'm going to put one of my staff on the spot here. Frank, do you know the name of the company? Or maybe Leslie, since this company is contracted through community development. Come to the microphone.
Please use the microphone or at the podium.
Mayor, council members. The consultant that we are using, their name is MDG Consulting. They're a firm that we have used in the past. This is, I believe, our third CDBG project. They are actually working with another consulting firm that is indirectly in contract with community development. So there are sub-consultants to the firm that isn't under contract with the city. They're an expert at this. They have, like I said, been doing this for quite some time, and we've used them in the past.
And it's the same firm that is going to be compiling all the applications and would be sending to Washington, D.C. with regard to the city's obligations that we are in full compliance and conformance of the federal government's requirement for the funding.
Yes, they are.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Frank. Any additional questions? Okay, is there a motion to approve the item?
I make a motion to move.
Okay, moved by Councilman Minigar, seconded by Councilmember Davies. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. Okay, item number 10. And this is on the approval of the application for electric charging stations and vehicles project. So I have... That's okay. I'm glad you're anxious to tell us all about it. It's kind of exciting. So I'll let you go and then I'll ask my questions. Go on,
Good
Mr.
evening, Madam
Masboudi.
Mayor, honorable council members. This application is through the Mobile Source Air Pollution Reduction Review Committee. We're informed that we have an allocated $85,100 that's a non-competitive grant that we can submit for a proposal for this project. And we met with the city of Mission Viejo, and we're partnering at a potential charging station at the Metrolink station, since we share the resources at that facility. In addition, we're considering to add at City Hall some charging stations, and the grant also allow us to have some electric vehicles. So we also are proposing to add 2 electric vehicles, to lease them, to add them to the pool of cars at City Hall, since we're going to have charging stations here. So that would be very convenient to have. And we're looking at some potential other locations as well.
Okay, thank you. I have some questions on the funding. So there's the MSRC program, and then there's the AB 2766 funds. Is that just for 1 year, or how long will those funds continue?
Well, this grant is for a specific program. The AQMD money, which you're referring to, these are regular funds that we get every year. So these are separate than the fund that we're getting, the AB 2766. So we get them regularly, and we look at programs to use these funds for.
So the AB 2766, we get those funds every year?
That is
What
correct.
about the other programs?
At this time, this is for this year. They're telling us there may be some additional similar funding in the future, but they want to jumpstart the program. So this is, at this time, they're proposing to all the cities that get the AB 2766, they're offering this grant this year as a jumpstart program.
Okay, but the money that we know we're gonna get is $36,000 a year.
No, we're getting 85,100.
No, I mean, but you're saying the MSRC program money, we don't know that we're gonna be getting that every year.
Correct.
Okay,
So we're getting 85,000, and we're going to use the 36,000 out of our other AQMD fund, the AB 2766 that we received.
so there's no annual maintenance or ongoing expense with this then?
No.
Okay,
No.
all
This is
right.
the one time. It's a capital project, so we're constructing and then we're leasing cars. So we lease for 3 years. The fund that we get, we would use that money towards the lease of cars.
Okay, and then if we're gonna be leasing 2 electric vehicles, are we going to be reducing our other leased vehicles by 2?
Well, actually, we need more cars. Right now, we have only 2 carpool vehicles for all the staff in the city. So we need additional cars to be used. Right
Okay.
now, those 2 cars don't support at least 12 staff that could use the cars.
Okay, all right, thank you. Do any other council members have any questions on this? Councilmember Davies?
Just the point that you brought up, that we are short on vehicles, is that something we're going to put into the budget workshop?
Depending on the timing, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, any other questions for staff? Okay, we have 2 requests to speak. First one is from David Salahi.
Good evening, councilors and mayor. Thank you for this opportunity to speak. My name is David Salahi. I'm a 19-year resident at 2431 Tapanas Court, and where I have installed solar panels for the past 5 years, and I'm enjoying that free energy. And I'd like to thank the City Council for approving the electric cars and the charging stations. I see a number of benefits to our community from this increased use of electric vehicles. One of these is improved air quality. EVs dramatically lower the amount of smog added to the air. And although our air is cleaner today than it was in the past, there's still room for improvement. This is particularly important for children and people with asthma. Another benefit is long-term cost savings. On average, EV fuel costs are half of the cost of gasoline-powered cars, and maintenance costs are much lower. EVs have far fewer moving parts than conventional gas-powered cars, which reduces the amount of service required. Another important benefit is the option to use clean, renewable energy. Even without solar or wind power, EVs can dramatically reduce the emission of CO2, and with it, the reduction is even greater. Reduced CO2 emissions from vehicles will go a long way toward reducing climate change. We're already seeing the effects of climate change here in California with ever higher temperature records, with long-lasting droughts, and with fires. We need to take positive steps to prevent these types of problems from worsening. By providing recharging stations, we can encourage the wider community to adopt electric cars, and the increased demand for clean power will help us increase the number of good-paying local jobs in the renewable energy industry. Finally, reduced dependence on fossil fuels will help us move closer toward an energy independent future. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And our next speaker is Michael Saul.
Good evening. Excuse me. Good evening. My name is Michael Saul. I live at 30902 Clubhouse Drive. And I want to encourage the City Council to approve the application, and I want to thank the staff of the city and the City Council for keeping eyes out for opportunities like this to leverage funding and grants to pursue improvements to the quality of life in our city. The installation of charging stations, especially when made available to the public, is a significant quality of life improvement for people who own electric vehicles, and you see an increasingly large number of them driving around our community. One of the barriers to the adoption of an electric vehicle as a driver is the concern about range. And a network of electric charging stations along major thoroughfares like I-5, like Crown Valley Parkway, really lifts some of that anxiety, encourages the adoption of the cars, and improves ultimately the air quality for all of us. I hike the Aliso Summit Trail regularly, and you can see the smog looking out toward Catalina or looking out toward Saddleback. And improving that will be of benefit to all of us, both health and just for enjoyment of our beautiful city. So I hope the City Council will pursue the installation of these electric car chargers and will continue to look for opportunities to install them elsewhere in the city for the benefit of the residents. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And thank you to everyone who came to address the City Council tonight. We really appreciate your taking the time to come out, taking the time to read our agenda, see what we're going to be talking about, seeing the decisions that we're going to be making for you and your family and your city. So thank you for being part of the government. We had a meeting with our youth committee earlier today, and we're explaining to them that they are the government. So thank you for taking part in it. So are there any questions or any more discussion on this item? Is there a motion to approve?
I'd move.
Been moved by Mayor Pro Tem Jennings.
I second the motion.
Seconded by Councilman Minigar. All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Abstain? Carries. Okay, item number 11, Councilmember Lindholm.
Thank you. This item for the benefit of the public is a false alarm fee. This item was first reading at the last meeting. There's been a presentation, and we understand that there have been a few residents who tend to have the multitude of false alarms. The problem with that is it takes our wonderful police officers away from other calls that might be very, very important. And I'm only speaking of the false alarm. If it's an actual emergency, then that, of course, is not counted in this. They're looking at proposing on the third false alarm that a fee be imposed. So some of the people have had like 17 calls a year, which is a little bit excessive, and so they're trying to deter that and keep our police officers where they need to be. In regards to this particular item, it's the first reading and no fees are mentioned at this time, so I will be supporting of the proposal to have a fee for this to keep the safety of our residents. But I would like to see, when the fee comes back, a comparison chart of all cities that are the similar size and what they are charging in terms of the false alarm fees. And when they started having them be imposed, so what year or date. And additionally, I'd like to see the Board of Supervisors and their cost schedule figured in on that too. So we have all the information going forward when the actual fee comes into place.
Okay, thank you. And I believe we're expecting the resolution for the fee to come to the City Council at the next meeting.
I'll have to take a look at it. We need to give it a certain amount of notice, and I don't want to give that notice until the ordinance that you're acting on tonight goes into effect. So it may be end of March, maybe early April.
Okay, so you're saying we would not have the fee schedule before the ordinance becoming effective?
I don't believe it can be adopted until the ordinance becomes effective, and the ordinance won't be effective until 30 days after tonight.
Right. Okay, so we will be bringing that back, the resolution for the fees, but did staff get all the information that Councilmember Lindholm has asked for?
Either have it or we can get it.
Okay, so we'll get that in the report when the resolution comes
Well, and
to
I'd
us.
also like to see letters of notification, just a sample of what would be sent out to the residents so that they are aware, and perhaps a time frame if their business days or their calendar days of when, if you get notified that, yes, this is occurring, this is a fee that will, I'm very cognizant of fees for our residents. And, you know, if there's an accidental issue, then we need to be able to handle it also. But, so that's what I'm looking forward to.
Certainly.
Thank you. Councilmember Davies?
In regards to Councilmember Lindholm's request, I do know that there was a difference in regards to what we looked at, what the cost was per call, because that was the most recent updated cost. I know she had asked for what the other cities are requesting. I'd like to know, though, when they implemented that, because it may have been a few years ago, and we're now starting new, so we may want to start fresh with the true cost so that we're breaking even, just so we have that comparison there. Thank you.
Good point. Any other comments on this item? Okay. Is there a move to approve?
I'll move it with those caveats.
Second.
Okay, moved by Councilmember Lindholm, seconded by Mayor Pro Tem Jennings. All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Abstained? Motion carries. Okay. Wow, we've got to the end of our notebook. Okay, so there's no other discussion items this evening, so we'll now move on to other business and council reports, beginning with the Crown Valley Park Tier 3 Ad Hoc Committee. Councilmember Davies, would you like to report on that?
Thank you, Mayor. We met with our group again in regards to Tier 3, which is the community building. And one of the most important things we talked about is we had started looking at some of the things in regards to the pool, things that could be revamped so that it would tie in well with the community building. And the more we looked into it, the more we realized that the whole pool area really could use a complete revamp. And so right now we're looking at calling the pool area Tier 3.5. So we're getting pricing on that right now to see if that's something that we would move on, but that wouldn't go into the budget that we had, that would move into the next year. But I'm excited because if we're going to do something, and the more we look at the condition of the pool, the more I think we realize that it does need an overhaul. And for me, I think it'd be important to be able to do everything. So obviously the community building would be number one, and then we obviously would bring it to council for vote and costs. To see then if we move into the pool area. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Now we're on to council reports. We have anyone like to go first? And I'm looking down at Councilmember Minigar.
I guess by default, I go first.
My head was turned that way.
Well, I'm very humbled and honored to be elected as the new chairman of the Transportation Corridor Agency by the unanimous vote of the Board of Directors on February the 8th. We are bringing local leadership into the regional transportation and infrastructure arena. As you know, the TCA has a lot of different issues on hand, specifically this year and within the next couple of years or so. And then last week, after the election, I attended the special meeting for the strategic planning of the TCA for the next 25 years, how we wanted to see the Transportation Corridor Agency as a toll agency to be functioning, to be operating as a quasi-organization. As you know, it's a public-private organization under the statutes of the Joint Powers Authorities of 25 cities in Orange County and the Orange County Board of Supervisors. So with that, I'll be keeping you posted of the latest developments and issues there. On February the 9th, along with my city council colleagues and all the South County elected officials, I attended the OCARS Forum on the Homeless Issues in the city of Laguna Hills. It's It's a very controversial issue in Orange County, and specifically in our city. If I'm at Costco or I happen to be at any other locations, our residents come to me and then they talk about, what about that homeless in front of Walmart or in front of Costco? So it's an issue that is impacting, you know, to some extent, every jurisdiction in South Orange County, and I'm very happy that Supervisor Lisa Bartlett, along with other elected leaders, are moving in the right direction to come up with some kind of remedy for this issue that we are facing. On the same day with the city manager, Christine Ridge, I attended the forum on the John Wayne Airport issues at the City of Newport Beach's City Hall. As our city manager described the, you know, the situation very well, we are on the top of things, and we are hoping that, you know, we can keep our citizens abreast of the latest developments when it comes down to how they can get in touch with FAA offices, either in San Diego or other, you know, or in Los Angeles County, with regard to the airplanes that are not supposed to be flying in a specific direction. And with that, that's my short report.
Okay, thank you, Councilmember Minigar. Councilmember Lindholm?
Thank you. It's a random number generator.
Yes, it is.
I want to start off with a couple things. I did attend the homeless workshop that Supervisor Bartlett put on, and it is a very difficult and tough problem, but it was a very good presentation, and I enjoyed going there with the rest of my city council members to hear what they were thinking. Something I've been thinking about it for a few years, and I want to thank our mayor and Mayor Pro Tem for working on the Economic Development Committee. Also, I want to thank our expert in-house, which is Fred Miniger, on our traffic and circulation. It was an opportunity to meet with Lori, Councilmember Davies, and our city manager to look at the process of streamlining restaurant approvals so that we could work hand in hand with the Economic Development Committee, which you're doing, trying to bring them in different ways. But streamline that process, because we have a lot of restaurants that have left. And if we can make that an easy process, where perhaps we are looking at cutting some of the red tape that we have in our city. I know when they're looking at some of the other cities, they would prefer to come here if we make them welcome, and we have some open boxes that we could use for that. So the other thing is to look at the parking study, which, you know, again, looking at our expert in-house, Mr. Miniger, that when we originally designed some of the business centers, the parking was for the day, like the day before Christmas. So it was maximum parking. Throughout the year, sometimes we see them at 50% parking. That is not very productive for our residents, for our citizens, and for the restaurants. So kudos to our Community Development Director and her staff. They have a lot of processes in place, but they're just not well known and they're not packaged. So hopefully we can get those packaged. I'm looking at, and for me it's kind of like a Vision 2020, because the year 2020 is coming forward. Let's see if we can streamline those parking, so you don't have to go out and do a parking study, take 2 months or whatever to do a parking study, because we know what the parking should be, and we're overparked in many of our, not in our residential, but in our businesses. So I'm looking forward to seeing that. I think our city manager comes with a great deal of experience, and I'm looking forward to see what she can put together so that we can streamline this, we can cut the red tape for our restaurants and get them in here in a timely manner so we're not losing tax revenue into other cities. So I thank Councilmember Davies for attending that, and we're looking forward to seeing how we can work hand in hand with the Economic Development Committee. Other thing is to congratulate. Today, I guess I'm looking at Fred Miniger for becoming chair of the San Joaquin Transportation Corridor Agency. Greatly appreciate you doing that. And to our mayor and Mayor Pro Tem, who ran a very good job with the youth committee tonight. That's all.
Thank you. Councilmember Davies?
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, I'd like to congratulate Councilmember Miniger as well. That's a great position, and they're lucky to have you for that. So congratulations, and you've got a lot ahead of a lot of
big
work
shoe
ahead
to
of you.
fill.
Yeah. In regards to OCTA, I sit on the board there, and I'm now part of the transit committee. And one thing that we did cover, which will be going to the board, is Project V, which I'm excited about, and that's the funding for us to have a trolley. So we're moving forward on that, and we're obviously hoping that that'll come down the line where we can start it with the Metrolink, coming on down Crown Valley, hitting perhaps it might be the Monarch Beach Resort, going to the Ritz-Carlton, then connecting with Dana Point, Lagoon Beach. So another way of transportation. I think it's something that's important, especially where our kids can use that to take it in the beach in the summer. So we're moving forward on that, and we're hoping to be voting on that in the next couple months. So it's looking pretty good. And let's see here. I'm going to let either Director Abzadi or Nasser talk about the awards, because thank you. I'll let you talk more about that, but congratulations on that as well. And that'll do it. Thank you.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem?
Great. Thank you very much, Mayor, and congratulations again, Councilman Minigar. I have a few questions about the tolls I have to pay every morning, so I will start my writing campaign early and often. But thank you very much for representing the city on that. A couple of kudos and a couple of thank yous, especially I'm looking at our Chief of Police Services, two events that I thought went very well. We had a shred event on February the 10th. Don't want to take too much of your thunder if you were going to announce that, but there was over 1,100 cars and 67,000 pounds of recycling that were gathered in just a few hours at City Hall. A very efficient and clean system, and it's one that we work on. We drill 3 times a year, and we are taking huge tons of trash out of our neighborhoods, and they put it to good use, and that's exactly what we want to do. Also, we had on February the 15th, we had a traffic safety event across the hall at in the city room, and was well attended. I think we had over 50 people there. Police Services put on a great event about who they are, how they work in our city, how they conduct their investigations, and some ways to try to address the two things we've been pushing, which is everyone slowing down on our streets and then doing what we can to reduce traffic noise in the city. We are very well aware of modified cars and motorcycles and things, and we were schooled by our motor deputies on how many tickets they write and how often they do those and the ways that they go about enforcing, and it was very insightful, and I think it's right on point on what we've been asking, and I really appreciated that. Also attended, just as part of my council duties, the Parks and Recreation Commission, but wanted to sort of preview to my council colleagues that they had roughly $5 million worth of park improvement projects that I thought were very insightful. They really do care a lot. We've got good people on that commission, and there's some very interesting things that they're looking to do in the city, and certainly our parks touch all of our residents, probably more than anywhere else in town, and I was very pleased with that. I wanted to raise something. We're all aware of the issues that happened in Florida last week, and we've had some teen deaths in our city in this past week. And I know that there's a tremendous amount of stress, and I was made aware of a community group that's getting together, and I just wanted to promote it if I could. This coming Monday on the 26th at Faith Episcopal Church at 6:30 p.m., and they will have counselors on staff, and really just addressing the type of stressors that our kids go through, what they're feeling, what anxiety at that level feels like, depression that they're going through because of this. And I mentioned it to our youth committee earlier tonight, but their generation goes through a tremendous amount of stress that we don't think about day to day, and going to schools and then going home and watching on the news what happens. And it's having a real impact, and I'm glad that the community is stepping up. I'm unfortunately out of town. I made the mayor aware of this meeting, and I understand that she's going to be able to attend that. And I invite the community to do that as well. I would just close my comments tonight in memory of those students and teachers in Florida that were killed. It's abhorrent every time it happens, and it happened again. And God forbid that it happened one more time, and I hope that it doesn't. But anyway, I didn't want to let tonight go by without recognizing not only them, but all the people who are suffering from depression and mental illness in the world. There is help, and we as your city, we care very much, and we would do anything we can to stop that in our city. So thank you very much. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. And congratulations, Councilman Minigar. TCA is very fortunate to have you chairing them, and that's a very well-deserved position, but also they're fortunate to have your expertise. So thank you for sharing that with our region. On the 8th, I attended the South Orange County Mayor's Association meeting with City Manager Ridge at the Ocean Institute. And the topic of discussion was economic development. And in particular, we looked at what's going on in the Dana Point Harbor. But then also was a much broader discussion on the changing retail environment in our communities and how that is affecting the cities, because we are seeing a decline in sales tax. Items are not being purchased. We've raised our children to not want items. Now they want experiences. So that's why there is this big push and this emphasis on restaurants and how do we attract and keep restaurants, because that is a source of sales tax for our city. Approximately a quarter of our revenue is from sales tax. So we need to be very watchful of those numbers and do what we can do to attract those businesses and retain the ones that we do have that do retain or that generate sales tax. And what we've seen that has happened in some of our shopping centers, the restaurants that have gone out, what is replacing them is not a restaurant, it's not a retail store, it's not a business that would generate sales tax. It's a service business. It's maybe a type of medical office or physical fitness or something that is not sales tax generating. So those square feet that we had that were getting sales tax are no longer. So this is why we keep talking about it. It is very important to our city. And I'll be working with, they had an interesting concept there that I'll be meeting with the Chamber of Commerce on how do you help your brick and mortar stores. So attended many of the same meetings that my colleagues did. I also met with Erica Reeb, who's the new head librarian of the Laguna Niguel Library right across the parking lot. And she has some exciting programs taking place to attract people into the library. We had a junior civic workshop. Thank you, Chief McDaniel and your team. They made a presentation on police services, what do the Orange County sheriffs do, and also talk to the middle school students about what do you do. I mean, their fear is, what do you do when you come home and you're scared or you don't feel safe? And our sheriffs made our middle school students feel, they gave them permission to call the number for help. It's okay to call. And, you know, you don't need to decide, is this a 911 or is, you know, make that phone call and then we will help you. So it was, I think, a lot of students left there feeling much more comfortable on how to communicate with the Sheriff's Department. Had the pleasure of presenting awards to the Laguna Niguel businesses that were selected as our shoppers' favorite businesses during the holidays. And then Friday night, I had the honor of presenting certificates to I guess it's our first two Eagle Scouts of the year. So to Noah Leahy and Colin Freeman, so congratulations, Scouts. They are now Eagle Scouts. Upcoming on Friday, we have, it's an offshoot of the Meet the Mayor. It's a leadership breakfast with with presidents and board members from different organizations throughout our city invited, so we can provide some contact information and update them on what is going on in the city. And we have our March Junior Civic Workshop with Judge Matthew Anderson. He has been with us all 3 years that we've had this workshop, and he talks about what is the roles of the courts in keeping our community safe and what is drug court. And he has a very serious talk for the students, but it's very well received. So please indulge me, council members. I have to wish my husband Ray a happy anniversary. It's our 36th, and I know he's home watching. He's eating his takeout dinner from Amber's Mexican restaurant, but happy 36th, Ray. And then also a very happy birthday to our Chief of Police Services, Matt McDaniel. So happy birthday, Matt. And that concludes my remarks, and we're going to switch it up tonight and start over here with Director of Public Works, Abizadeh.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. As Councilmember Davies pointed out, the city was honored by the American Society of Civil Engineers last week as they had selected the Tier 2 project. That's the new bridge and 2 parking lots that we built as a project of the year. Councilmember Davies, along with staff, were at the function to receive the award. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Nothing? Okay, Director Giglio?
Thank you, Mayor. Late breaking news, we have a water line break at the park, so the pool will not open as scheduled tomorrow at 6 a.m. for anyone wanting to swim. Check in at 9 o'clock at our facility and we'll let you know if it's open. And that is water shut down at the entire Crown Valley Park as far as I know. So feel free to call us for an update on that. The March, when the pool does open again, the March Madness event at the pool is going to start March 1st. It's a 30-mile swim challenge for anyone who's up for it. And the Laguna Niguel Senior Games, we are looking specifically for pickleball and soccer players and swimming. We have low registration. We'd like to get some more people to participate in those. The games are on March 10th and 11th with opening ceremonies on March 9th. And we have a guest speaker for the opening ceremonies on Friday night, Yonde Fabrique, who was in the 92 and 96 Olympic swimming. So please go to our website if you have any questions about the games and registration.
Okay, very good. Thank you. City Clerk Gomez? Mr. Masboudi?
Just a quick, excuse me, update. Tonight we did the notice of completion for the pickleball courts, but they are officially now part of the OC Parks program. So we transferred it to them, and it's looking really good, and people are excited to use them. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. North? Director Roseberry? Chief Adams? City Attorney Dixon? Director Erlandson? Chief McDaniel?
Thank you for ruining the surprise and telling everybody about my birthday. I appreciate it.
Well, I didn't say what year you were born.
Well, I'll tell them it's my 50th, so thank you very much.
Oh,
and I'm happy to be here. So thank you for the kind words on our presentations. Our staff really does do a lot of work and really takes care in putting on those presentations. So thank you very much for pointing that out. I just wanted to add one thing to the Shred event, that about 80% of the people who work that event are volunteers. So I'd like to thank our PAC volunteers and our explorers who come out and run that event. And I know Mayor Pro Tem Jennings was out there and saw it's a pretty smooth event with all the cars that we do move and all the tonnage we do move. So I'd like to thank them personally, and that's all I've got.
Thank you. City Manager Ridge.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor. I just have one quick item. I mentioned earlier about our website and the presence, where we have information on the airport noise issues. I just wanted to call attention that there is going to be another forum at Newport Beach City Hall on March 9th from 3 o'clock to 4:30, and that information is posted on our website.
Okay, thank you. Okay, seeing no other reports. At this time, I'd like to have City Attorney Dixon read us into closed session.
Thank you, Mayor Genoway. Mayor Genoway, members of the council, we have 3 closed sessions scheduled for tonight. The first one is anticipated litigation, significant exposure to litigation pursuant to paragraph 2 of subdivision D of section 54956.9 of the Government Code, which is in the Brown Act. That's one matter. Then we also have 2 real estate negotiation sections concerning 2 separate pieces of property. One is the CUSD-owned property over by Paseo de Colinas, and then the other is it's a slope located, I guess, west side of Paseo de Colinas, north of Del Cerro. As to all 3 of these matters, I don't expect there'll be any report out. By the way, let me also add that as to the first item, Attorney Steve McEwen with the law firm of Burke Williams Sorensen is present to meet with the council in closed session.
Okay, thank you.
Madam Mayor?
Yes.
I will not be attending item number 3, the one with CUSD.
Okay. City Clerk Gomez, did you get that for the record? Okay, thank you. Okay, we will now recess to closed session. Thank you all and have a very nice evening.